Joining us now is Dr. John Braccio. Each and every Tuesday about this time, we get in touch with Doc and get some good advice. It's a little free sort of, I wouldn't call it therapy, but good help that maybe will carry you through at Regional Psychological Services. Dr. Braccio, welcome to your morning wake-up as usual.
Well, good morning to you, Mike, and we're talking today about one-sided relationships and how devastating they can be for the person emotionally.
Explain that. What is a one-sided relationship?
Well, this is where you're always wrong, Mike. This is a situation where the person always is right, and they're complaining all the time, and this is really not what people are in relationships for. People really are in a relationship with the goal of feeling more fulfilled by sharing a lifetime of experiences with someone. And in the one-sided relationship, this never occurs. The person's constantly trying to meet the mercurial needs of this person, but they can't be met. The goalposts keep moving, and it doesn't matter. This is the sad thing. The person keeps trying, banging their head against the wall, but they can never meet the needs of this person. And the end result can often be for the person anxiety, insomnia, depression, hypervigilant because they're always trying to meet this person's needs, and they never know how it's going to go, and they never feel fulfilled emotionally. They can't be. There's a deep feeling of discontent and even hopelessness in the soul of the person. It's really debilitating, and this can even cause physical problems such as high blood pressure and headaches. And signs, that you're in such a situation would include you never feel secure, you feel poorly after interactions, you try to have a more meaningful relationship, but that gets shot down. That never goes anywhere. You don't share your feelings because you're fearful of being called names. You're constantly feeling this rejection, always afraid of upsetting the partner, like you're walking on eggshells. You've been around that situation, I'm sure. Hopefully not a partner. And you're always wrong, and even sometimes can be called stupid or bad names. So really your self-esteem gets shattered, Mike, and you're constantly making excuses even for others if they notice as, well, he or she's really not that bad, having a bad day, it's like living with me. And what the person does, they end up cherishing the few crumbs of kindness they receive in an otherwise ocean of torment, and they look for these little, crumbs and try and hope they're going to come, but they really don't. Or if they do, they just come to keep things moving on a bit. So if this is you, then really this is the time to not have it happen anymore. It's time to say, wait a minute, no more, no mas. Because no one really deserves to live in a one-sided relationship that only criticism, poor self-esteem, and unhappiness really are the rewards. People deserve to lead a life where they can be happy, they can be satisfied. And if you're in one of these one-sided relationships, and there are a lot of them, oh boy, I've seen a lot of them in life, and you just don't want to be in them. They're just bad. And I'm sure you've seen situations like this yourself over time, Mike.
Yeah, and again, communication completely must break down because the one person they just know they're going to be wrong. Why do I even bring up anything? And then so they probably just shut down. I would imagine this is you probably see this a lot in marriages, perhaps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, in marital work, yes. I've seen this in marital work. I remember a time when I'd been working with someone, and he had asked for the wife to come in, and wife came in, and he eloquently ran down every argument that this person could have about being unhappy. And the woman, in this case the wife, said, Dr. Braccio, we've been married 30 years. I've been wrong all 30 years. There's no point in this. I just came out of respect here just because, you had thought it might be a good idea just to come and get my view, and I'm done. Okay. And so she leaves, and he says, see, I told you. Well, I made the point. I said, you have won every argument, and you're eloquent, and you're dramatic, and you're all kinds of things. However, that's not how this relationship works. Now, I mention that because even though this is many, many years ago, he made the comment after we had worked some time through all this that he says, you can always share the example, of somebody who really was just foolish. And then that relationship did end, I might add. That was just had gotten to the point where there was no way really to save it. So winning every argument, always being right, being one-sided relationship all the way, that may work for some time, but it's bad for both persons. It's not good for a person in a relationship to always always right and win, but it's also devastating for the other person who has to live in that relationship. So if you're in something like that, you have to really decide that you're going to change your life, that you're not going to allow it if you have the strength. The sad thing is, Mike, a lot of people in them, they feel they can't get out of it, and they're fearful of being alone or not having the person around. They can really love the person and don't realize it's really not a healthy love. It's just a kind of a very dependent kind of a situation. And so it's sad. So it is time, though, to take a look and really decide that you know that you deserve better and that you either have to right the ship and radically change things through some form of counseling or just meeting with the person or setting new standards, having a, kind of a come to you-know-who meeting and just move forward. Very, very hard for people to do.
Couple of things just real quick. I mean, dealing from your standpoint, when you see that come in, whether it's the husband or the wife who is the one who's always right? Where does that come from? Is it their upbringing? Where have they developed that sense that they are always right? Because we've all dealt with those folks. And I may be one. I don't know. Maybe they don't even realize it.
Well, I think it comes from early on. It can be a lot of insecurity, too, that they've just been put down themselves. So the solution is to find other people to put down. But somewhere in their life, they've learned it, they believe it, and they just push it. And when you run into the always right person, they're the pile driver. They're the ones who said, yes, I am. And even if they're wrong, they won't admit they're wrong. 2 and 2 is not 4. Quit bringing up that silly thing. It's 5. and you say, wow, but both persons come from a background historically that they've gotten used to doing this. One has been used to controlling and pushing and always being right. And the other has become used to over time of being a doormat or taken advantage of. And neither is healthy, by the way. I mean, they're both bad situations to be in because it's going to really impact the effectiveness of each. But I think the abused one is the one who's always being put down and told they're wrong, and they've just come to accept this as their place in life, or they really believe kind of in this, it's not necessarily physical in this case, but the cycle of violence model where they're good every now and then, they'll be good, and then you keep hoping that's going to continue but you're in this ocean of torment, where you're really given a hard time and not treated fairly, but you just wait for those little crumbs of goodness or positivity, but they're very, very few, and in the middle, the person gets crushed. And if there are children involved in relationships like this, they see this and often can model one or the other. So having good relationships where people share and each gives 60%, so each ends up with 50, that's really the goal. And in relationships where someone is dominant and controlling and really always right, that's not a good relationship. It's very toxic for both persons, actually, even though the one who's running it is not always aware of how bad they are because they're always right. How could they be wrong?
Communication skills will carry you a far way in a relationship. The other thing is I've run into this where you'll say something and the other person who is always right, the other person will go, no, that's not it. And then they say exactly what you said, only in a different way. All right.
Best to say you're right again.
Yeah. We're up on time, Doc. As always, it goes too fast. Dr. John Braccio, drjohnb.com on the web, Regional Psychological Services. A little free advice for you. We'll do it again on Monday next week. Doc, have a great rest of your week.
Always a pleasure, buddy. Bye-bye.
See ya. 1320 WILS. Mike Austin with you, back in just a minute.